I'm Joel Ankney. I'm a lawyer who helps people buy and sell small businesses, and I'm the author of the book, Here's the Deal, Everything You Wish a Lawyer Would Tell You About Buying a Small Business. Earlier this year, I was invited to speak to the Entrepreneurship Through Acquisition class at the Columbia Business School about the legal process of buying a small business. And I'm making this video to share with you the presentation that I gave to the ETA class because I think the information is relevant for anybody who's thinking about buying or even selling a small business. The next burning question is, what's my role in due diligence? What's a lawyer's role in due diligence? One of the first things I do once the letter of intent has been signed is I share a due diligence checklist with my buyer client. So this is a checklist that I've compiled over the years from all different sources, including other attorneys, and it's a checklist that helps the buyer ask the seller for lots of information about the business. Once the seller has responded to the due diligence checklist by providing the information, sometimes they provide hard copies, printed documents, other times they provide email document files, PDF files, and sometimes they set up a shared drive in the cloud, a virtual data room that we can all access so that we can see the information that they've disclosed in response to the due diligence requests. Due diligence requests aren't one-time requests. Many times, once we see some preliminary information, we may make additional requests for information. The lawyer's role is to review the information for legal issues. For example, I will review the organizational documents, the incorporation documents, or the limited liability company formation documents of the seller, just to make sure everything looks like it's in line, everything's proper, correct, up to date. I'll also look at contracts that are being transferred as part of the assets. Those contracts might be contracts with significant vendors, significant customers, and leases for brick and mortar space. When I'm looking at those contracts, the primary thing I'm looking for is to make sure that there's no prohibition against transfer of the contract, or if the contract requires that the buyer and the seller obtain the other party's consent before the contract can be transferred. So for example, if there's a lease and the lease says that the lease can't be transferred without the landlord's consent, we need to know that during due diligence so that we know that's going to be one of the contingencies or conditions to closing, is that we obtain that landlord consent. This is also an opportunity for the buyer to determine whether there are any liens on the assets, whether there's any outstanding debt that the seller needs to pay off at the closing in order to get liens released from the assets. In other words, we want to make sure when the buyer receives the assets at closing that there aren't any liens on there that they're going to inherit and have to be responsible for. I may also suggest changes to the deal structure based on the information we see during due diligence. For example, if there are a number of client contracts that cannot be transferred as part of an asset transaction, we may convert the structure of the transaction into an equity transaction so that those contracts will remain in place. And then finally, during the due diligence period, I may also form a special purpose entity for the buyer. The SPE is typically a limited liability company or a corporation that will be the entity that actually takes title to the assets. During due diligence, the buyer is also looking for a lender and submitting loan applications for a loan to fund a portion of the purchase price. I may also help with that process. Thank you for watching my presentation. If you have more questions or want to learn more about the process of buying or selling a small business, you can see my contact information here on this last slide. If you want to buy my book or listen to the audiobook, you can find the print book on Amazon and the audiobook on Audible. I also maintain a blog at my website, so if you have other questions, you might look there first to see if you can find an answer there. Thanks.